What's going on, dudes? Washer Grunt here again today, coming at you with another video going over my main squeeze, my go-to rifle, the rifle that I've come to really trust my life with, right? But before I get into it, I want to give a shout out to my buddy Jake. He recently just started his personal training gig. I'll leave a link down in the description below to where you can contact him if you feel like you need to get strong or you need to get into shape. He can definitely write some programs for you and get that started and whatnot. Like I said, that link is down in the description below. But let's get into it, right? So today we'll be going over why I have what I have on this gun, why it works for me, and why it could potentially work for you, and give a little bit more detail as the why. And go into the internals of the gun as well too, so you guys can see how I properly gas this thing, I should say. But starting from the tip, I got the Surefire SOCOM SB2 suppressor. This suppressor, the SB2, not the RC2. I specifically went with the SB2, not the RC2, because this suppressor is specifically designed for those shorter barrels, 12.5 inches and shorter, I believe, because I am working with a 10.3 inch barrel. I'll get into that later. Before I bought this can, I knew that it wasn't the quietest can, and I knew it wasn't the best can out there, but the can is a freaking tank as far as I'm tracking with all the research I've done, just, considering the fact that it's still issued to SOCOM and whatnot. So if those guys trust it, then I'm going to trust it, right? Under the suppressor, I have a Surefire Warcomp muzzle device with the muzzle, the suppressor adapter on it, so that way that can get on there. Obviously, I'll put up a picture of what it looks like right here. As you can see, it's like a flash hider and compensator in one, so it does both jobs pretty well, in my opinion. Obviously, you're not going to get that super consistent flash reduction every single time. It's just not going to be possible, especially with this shorter barrel, but it does a pretty good job at that. Moving back here to the light, I have a Arisaka light on here with a Surefire tail cap on a Arisaka M-Lock mount. But as you can see, it's too bright, whatever. But this light's really freaking bright. I like it. I'm working with the Unity Axon dual pressure pad switches. I really enjoy these things, or this thing. It's really convenient. The big nipple up here is for the white light. The pressure pad on the flatter part right here is for IR device, right? Whatever you're using, like the MAL, APTOL, and whatnot, it D-ball, it works for it. I opted to go with this one instead, just like I said, because of the convenience factor. In the past, I was running a pressure pad, like two separate pressure pads, one on the other side of where the flashlight would be, right? So right here, and that pressure pad was for my white light, and then I had a pressure pad up on top for my IR device. I found that I was taking a little bit too long to go from one pad to the other, so I just wanted to kind of simplify it. And here, it's so easy to go from here to here and here to here whenever I need to, because it's just all right here in this motion instead of going all the way around, coming back all the way around. You know what I mean? So that's why I decided to go with that. For foregrip, I'm running BCM Gunfighter handguard, I believe it's called. Super basic, really simple. I enjoy it a lot. I might change this out soon. It depends. But so far, not a lot of complaints. And I got like I said, I have a 10.3 inch barrel inside of here. And this is this upper receiver is all sitting in a Geissele Super Duty upper receiver. It's a freaking tank. I enjoy it. Definitely worth the money, but it is a little overgassed. But like I said, I'll go into the reason. I'll go into how I was able to deal with that later. However, I know that the current trend right now amongst the internet and people in this community, they're trying to go back to the longer barrels. I totally get it. You want more velocity behind that round. However, I do live in a city. I need to be able to move around through rooms, tiny closets, get in cars, right? So I needed a smaller package to carry with me, so that way I can maneuver around places where I need to in a reasonable and, I guess, easier manner. You know what I mean? That's why I didn't go for that longer barrel for this longs for my main squeeze. There's this notion out there as well too that from what I've seen, that 10-3 barrels, or any 10-inch or 11-inch barrel, isn't the best at 300 yards or something like that. Like it's not super consistent with hitting targets. I don't really find that to be true at all. Took it to the range the other day and recorded some things. Recorded me Recorded myself shooting a little past 300 yards, I believe, at that 350-yard mark, and I was hitting stuff just fine, pretty consistently. Um, so I don't really understand what all that talk is about. I know it's more because of that. How do you say it? The velocity behind that round. It doesn't carry like a round coming out of a 10-3 barrel isn't necessarily going to carry as much velocity as a 5.56 round coming out of a 16 or 18-inch barrel. I get it, right? But I think the dude or whoever's getting shot by that round isn't necessarily going. All right, so moving a little further back. For IR aiming device, I'm running the PEC 15 civilian version, known as the APTOL, I believe. Super solid laser. The only thing that I kind of have to say about IR devices and whatnot, and why I decided to go with this one, is because I've seen the Mauls, I've seen the NGALs, and I've seen the D-balls, D-bows, whatever you want to call them. It's not that they're bad lasers or anything like that. They're just super freaking bright. And when you're 100 yards or out, or even 50 yards and in, and you're shooting at a man-sized target, uh, especially under nods, from what I've seen going to courses, and even from when I was active duty and I saw those like full power uh, IR devices, it really washes out that target, and it's really hard to see what you're shooting at once you got 8 freaking lasers pointing at one thing. And that's why I don't mind running this lower power version one. I know everybody wants to get their hands on one, on a full power. It's definitely possible. However, I don't mind this, and it gets the job done just right, and I can see my target and what I'm shooting at. Moving back here for optics, I'm running the EOTech EXPS3 Tag 0, just that one dot in the middle. That's really all I need. I love this thing. It has a big window, and the night vision setting on this thing is freaking crisp. It's really nice. I wish I was able to show you guys in this video, but I wasn't able to. Just hopefully you can take my word for it and look at other videos that show that. But that's the reason why I really like this optic. Moving back, I have another EOTech product. It's the G33 3x magnifier. It's only 3 times. I really just have this thing not to take super long, accurate shots. It's more just to PID targets 100 yards or out, 100 yards or more out. It's a really good thing right here. I really like it. A lot of people have issues putting this mount or this magnifier so close, like right behind here. They think it's going to obstruct your view. They think it's going to obstruct your sight picture and whatnot. Not the case for me. I personally don't really have an issue with that. Maybe my brain just decides to ignore it, and I'm able to get a good sight picture every single time, right? So I know that the whole thing here looks a little funky because it's sitting on a GBRS HYDRA mount. I'll go into the why, but real quick, I know there's a lot of people the internet right now isn't the biggest fan of GBRS and whatnot, and I totally get it. I'm not here to cast judgment or cast an opinion. I really don't give a shit. However, this product does work for me, and it does all the things that they advertise it that it can do. It's super easy to shoot passively with night vision. It has just enough height, that 2.91 height over bore height, that I really enjoy. I know my holds. I don't really have to worry about it, all that much. The other thing too is shooting, gas mask and nods and passively aiming with all that, right? It's not a super easy thing to do when you're working with a super low optic, like low to your gun or whatever. It's hard to get a good sight picture, at least from my experience. This thing just helps with that. It makes that task 10 times easier to complete and perform proficiently, in my opinion, for me at least, right? The other thing too is I like moving this PEC or this IR device further back on the gun and getting it out of the way from, all this and this, right? What I've seen guys do in the past is they just move their PEC back here, but they still have their grip here, and then their hand gets in the way of their IR laser or their floodlight, right? It's not necessarily the move, in my opinion. So elevating it is makes a lot of sense to me. So that way it does the aiming does not get obstructed by your hand or body and whatnot. The other thing too is the reason why I like the IR device back here is you already have a lot going on here, right? You got the suppressor, you got the light, you got the pressure pad and the grip and whatnot. It's a lot of weight out in front, and if I'm able to bring some of the weight back here in the center of the firearm, that's awesome. I enjoy all the weight being here in the center of the gun instead of all the way out here. So carrying or holding your weapon up for long periods of time is a lot easier to do, just because I have that weight shifted in the center, right? The other thing too is I harp a lot on passive aiming with night vision, because it makes more and more these days, you see that night vision is becoming a lot more affordable and a lot more accessible. So if I ever have to use this thing and, in a shitty situation, I'm just going to automatically assume, just to be safe, that bad guys might have night vision as well too. So if you turn on your IR laser, right, it's more than likely other people are going to be able to see it, and you need to be able to passively aim to take those shots just as well as you can with your IR laser aiming device thing, just in case, like I said, bad guys have night vision as well too. It's definitely possible, but that's why I got that HYDRA mount on there. I'll throw up some clips just so that way you guys kind of have an understanding of what I'm talking about. I'll show you guys how easy it is for me to get that sight picture. Almost forgot, I got the I believe this is the Unity 2.91 flip to center mount for my magnifier. It's perfect. I don't really care to have the optic flipped all the way out here. I prefer it more to be in line in center, so that way the gun just looks, one, it just looks neater, in my opinion, looks cleaner, and two, I don't have to reach all the way out here to bring it back in. It's just up, down. It's just what I personally prefer. Charging handle, I got the Radian Raptor SD Vintage ambidextrous charging handle. I really like this thing. Helps bust the gas. Gets rid of the gas before it gets to my face, along with other things that help with that too, and I'll get into that in a little bit. With my lower, I'm running a Aero Precision lower, super basic, nothing fancy about it. Unfortunately, no ambidextrous safety because left-handed people are weird. Just kidding. I just don't really care to put an ambidextrous safety on this thing yet. It's not really a necessity, because I am a right-handed shooter, as you guys saw in those clips. So yeah, so Aero Precision lower, HRF Concepts flared magwell. This thing is freaking awesome for making those reloads under night vision, under nods, or just when you can't see very well and you can't take your eyes off what you're shooting at. This thing makes life 10 times easier, and it looks freaking sick as well too. For the trigger, I'm running the Geissele Super Dynamic flat trigger. The hype around Geissele triggers and Geissele products, in my opinion, are 100% real. They live up to its reputation. I will move from now on, moving forward, if one of my rifles can fit a Geissele trigger, a Geissele trigger will go in it. The reset feels amazing. It feels crisp and clean every single time I pull that trigger, and I get really positive feedback. It's going from mil spec to a Geissele. It's a night and day difference. And one day, hopefully, if you guys already don't have one, you get one and you understand what I'm talking about, right? So moving back here, I got the BCM Gunfighter pistol grip, and I got some camo tape wrapped around here just for that extra girth. That's kind of what I do with most of my rifles, or my pistol grips, I should say. I like having that little extra girth right here. Don't know why I'm weird like that. For buttstock, I'm running the Magpul CTR adjustable mag stock. Again, I know these days in the corners of the internet and whatnot, dudes are going back to the more traditional fixed stock because they're tired of these plastic stocks breaking. One, I don't really know how you're breaking your fucking stock, buttstock. I don't really understand that. Maybe you can enlighten me in the comments, but I'm curious, right? So I didn't go with that. I don't really understand that. But second reason why I think adjustable stocks are really awesome, for obvious reasons. I'm not saying anything new here. If you need to get into corners, if you need to get into cars, if you need to get into rooms, closets, you don't want a super long, fixed stock. It's not fun. You're gonna have to put it over your shoulder. You're gonna have to chicken wing it, and then boom, there goes your sight picture. There goes your fundamentals, and you have to be accountable for those shots that you take and for the shots that you miss, right? So obviously one, yep, all the way here. It's really awesome. I like it, and then you can lock it into place. And then I got the GBRS cheek riser on the buttstock, so that way I get a really good cheek weld when I'm aiming down sights of this thing. I believe the height on this is the 0.75 inches or something like that. It's the tallest one they have. I'm a short guy, so I need that. For sling, I'm running the Feral Concepts. I believe it's called the Feral Concepts padded sling. I really enjoy this thing. I always try to go with thicker slings, and I always try to go with the QD mounts that don't make any noise and that don't rotate when you move them. It's because that can get really annoying. So make sure when you get QD slings and attachments that it's the ones that don't move, right? But I always wind up going with the thicker padded slings because the slimmer, skinnier ones always like to fold on me and twist up, and that's just not fun to deal with. Not saying that the padded, thicker one, the padded and thicker slings don't do that. It's not as common as the thinner, slimmer, skinnier slings. But let's go into what I have going on in the gun, just so that way you guys understand how I'm able to pretty much defeat all that gas before it gets to my face. So real quick, as we know, when you suppress a super overgassed gun like this one, like a Geissele upper, KAC, CAC, or all these awesome, great brands, and that have the reputation for being tough and durable and gassed really well. Most of the time, they are going to be super overgassed. So when you put a suppressor on it and you don't do anything to the internals, you're just going to be eating gas all day, and that's not fun. I personally don't enjoy it, and I'll show you guys how I did it. So real quick though, what a lot of people like to do when they try to fix their overgassing issues, they want to immediately replace the gas block on it. More often than not, when I see that, it's not really. It's something that people wind up regretting later, and I've seen it online, and I've seen it with people, friends at the range, because you always have to fine tune that gas. It's super difficult to find that sweet spot, so that way you're not undergassed and you're also still not overgassed, so that way the cycle of operations and everything can work. I leave that alone. I think the gun is gassed the way it's supposed to be, and it should be left alone for the most part. So what I did, I just winded up going with a different charging handle, a different bolt carrier group, and I put a H3 buffer tube in here. So, or H3 buffer tube in here, which is like the heaviest one, which does make the system a little bit heavier, right? But you need that for those shorter length rifles, especially if they're suppressed, so that way the cycle of operations performs consistently every single time. So I'll just show you guys real quick right here. So like I said, I'm working with the Radian Raptor STL charging handle, the vented version. You guys can look right here. Hopefully I'm getting a good look at this for you guys. So these vents, these portholes, whatever you want to call them, gas ports, allow that gas to escape my face before it gets to my face, right? It's $110-ish, $120 now, I think. Thank you, inflation. But this thing helps a lot, and it's super easy. You don't have to go in here and replace the gas block or whatever. It's just you replace the charging handle, or you just get this one, call it a day. So that helps. And then I'm also running the CAC Industries KAK downward vented bolt carrier group. Traditionally, the bolt carrier groups have two gas ports on the side here. These don't have that because, like I said, it's a downward vented bolt carrier group, and instead of two gas holes, it has four. So I'll show you guys right here. There we go. So there's two right there, and then four, right? Hopefully you guys can see that. So what this is going to do is allow that gas to escape downwards inside, towards that magwell, right? And contrary to popular belief, it does not really at all actually dirty up your gun, nor does it cause any malfunctions. I've been running this thing now for about 5,000 rounds, just about, and I've yet to have any issues with it causing anything. It's not really a thing that I have to worry about with it. But that is pretty much what helps with that gas issue, right? It just shoots the gas downwards, and it shoots the gas outwards for the most part when it comes to the vented charging handle, and it just expels all that gas mostly all the way down, so that way it doesn't get to my face. And I really appreciate that from KAK. Like I said, it's the CAC Industries downward vented bolt carrier group with a nitrate finish. It's a little on the expensive side, but if you don't feel like messing with your gas block and you just want a one-time fix and not have to deal with it, definitely buy one of those. They're really awesome. And then I got a Geissele H3 buffer tube in here, or buffer in here. I opted going with the heaviest one because that's what they recommend on their website, especially if you're running the shorter barrel with a suppressor on it. It makes the cycle of operations really consistent and does make the system just a bit heavier, but it's worth it in my opinion. But that's going to be it today. That's my rifle setup, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks.